Thank you for coming by for a brand new Monster Monday, the best way to start your week. I'm back to feature another collaboration with Cameron McLoud, which means that we'll be making another Horizon-inspired construct. This time, it's an original machine, as we look at the Leonin leader, the Thundermane. Cameron designed the Thundermane to work alongside creatures such as the Ravagers, which I built about a month ago. They are meant to serve as commanders and leaders in combat, not always necessarily in the front, but at least guiding their allies to victory. This makes for a fairly interesting design goal, a sort of roadmap that doesn't really exist in Pathfinder 2e right now. However, I have built creatures like this before, so I do have some ideas on where I wanted to go with this whole thing, though I did still want to follow Cameron's lead on this. With that being the case, I built the Thundermane as a level 10 creature, which of course has the construct, robot, and tech traits, to herald the release of Starfinder 2nd Edition at the end of this month. We start, as we tend to do, by discussing the ability scores for the Thundermane. It leads with a high strength, a mechanical might meant to let it mash in melee, though it has a range of options in its arsenal. Following Cam's lead, I use a moderate constitution, though it doesn't play too much into its kit, aside from justifying some numbers down the line. Both of its dexterity and wisdom use a low value, which leaves both its intelligence and charisma in the negatives. I did describe the Thundermane as a commander of sorts, but its ability to do so is largely limited to machines, which aren't as reliant upon inspiring sorts of leaders. That low wisdom does also lead to a low perception, though like the rest of our massive mecha monsters, it does come with dark vision to help it navigate nighttime ambushes. For skills, we've got the fairly standard acrobatics at a low value, which is the same as its stealth since they are both based off of its dexterity, while it does have an extreme athletics as it comes up in a fun part of its kit, but it doesn't get much use out of it beyond that. For the defenses of our Def Drone, the Thundermane uses an armor class in between low and moderate, while the AC for its components is merely high. I did use this lower value to account for a shielding ability that we'll discuss down the line. For the time being, we'll keep on track and take a look at its hit points, which are in between moderate and high. This is meant to account for the weaknesses it has, particularly the highly common fire damage, but I didn't want to give it too much HP, given all the immunities that constructs get, and the resistances unique to the Thundermane. The fight certainly didn't feel like it dragged on in the monster mash, so I do think I hit a sweet spot when it comes to its design. As for its saving throws, I use an extreme fortitude save, which is largely based on the decent constitution that I assigned it. I also took the opportunity to change things up a bit, following this with a low reflex and will save alike, instead of the typical 1 high, 1 moderate, and 1 low saves that I often find myself using. Naturally, we'll follow all that with a look at the Thundermane's offensive capabilities, and it does have a decent little arsenal to it. I want to start on the melee strikes, both of which use a high attack bonus to them. Its claws come with the agile trait, so they'll only be dealing moderate damage. I do want to point out, I use slightly higher damage values in its design, because while the Thundermane is meant as a commander type, much of the support it provides is mobility based, rather than damage enhancements. This leads to the use of a high damage on its jaws strike, giving it a gnarly bite to fit the fearsome ferrous jaws it has. In what might be a bit of a surprise, the Thundermane also has a ranged strike as it can fire a laser beam from its tail. This strike only has a moderate attack bonus, based on its dexterity, and it also comes with only moderate damage, since it is a ranged attack. I don't want this being too powerful to the point where it completely outshines the others. And I actually wonder if I shouldn't have dropped the damage lower, since this ability comes with the Tracer effect, an ability that we'll go ahead and dig into right now. This is a passive effect that triggers whenever the Thundermane manages to succeed on a strike with its tail laser. The Thundermane demonstrates its ability to be a leader through this effect counting as an action to prepare to aid, and providing it with an extra reaction to do so. It's a pretty basic way to interact with the options already in the game, but I thought it worked well, and I wanted to have the Thundermane actively interacting with its troops. This also has the benefit of removing concealment on the target for a single round, befitting that Tracer effect. I want to follow that up by talking about Activate Shield, another basic sort of ability that just gives it a shield that provides it with a +2 to its armor class. This increases its base armor class to high, and gets its component AC almost up to extreme. Speaking of, players can target its shield caster component to get themselves a nifty little shield pulled from the Starfinder 2e playtest. Now while the Thundermane has its shield active, it has a chance of using the rebounding shield reaction. When an enemy hits it, the Thundermane doesn't reduce the incoming damage, but can instead cause the weapon to rebound off the shield so violently that it gets an opportunity to disarm its attacker. Which is the whole purpose behind that extreme athletics I assigned it. Before looking at some of its other activated abilities, I want to discuss its magnetic field. This is a passive aura that Cameron based on the magnetic coils lining its back, while I pretty directly pulled its effects and named from the magnetic field of the metal kineticist. The Thundermane is limited to the attract version of this field, not having the same sort of control that a metal kineticist would, and it mainly uses this to lock down enemies so that its allies can run skirmishing strikes and such against them. It has two more abilities in its arsenal, both of which are a bit more combat capable. Its resonant roar takes some inspiration from lions being one of the loudest animals in the world, and it's a decently sized area that deals damage in between limited and unlimited use area damage, uses a high DC, and comes with a short little cooldown. The decision not to use higher damage is because this has the added benefit of allowing the Thundermane to quicken its allies, briefly affording them more mobility. Cameron designed the 5e version with an R of command, but I wanted to involve its commands more into its actions in my take on it, such as I did here and in the following ability. Thunderous Charge is a pretty potent ability that allows the Thundermane to activate its shield and then take a single stride. Creatures it moves adjacent to take unlimited use area damage at a high DC when it does this. I actually ended up switching up the types of saves between this ability and its Resonant Roar, since that includes some electricity to dodge, while this is pure sonic damage that they have to endure. This has the chance of knocking enemies prone as well, but also benefits the Thundermane's allies, letting them stride as a reaction. I was a little worried that the Thundermane was providing too much mobility to its teammates, but it's only using one of these per round, and I decided it was safer to stick with this design rather than allowing it to overpower the offenses of its operators. That's this bionic beastie built. A cat constructed as a commander, it keeps combatants cautious with clashing claws caused to quicken its companions and combusting castings. The Thundermane is obviously designed to be used alongside other creatures, robotic ones a little bit specifically. Cameron's intent was to pair them with Ravagers, making them the lionesses to the Thundermane's lion, but you could honestly run them with other machines to make any encounter you wish. They'll likely pair best with other machines I've already made, but beyond the horizon, we have Starfinder coming out shortly, which is sure to offer you plenty of such foes to field. Let me know what you think of this creature and what other sorts of monsters you'd like to see in a comment. If you like what you see here and want more, be sure to leave a like and then subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the blog, which is linked below along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic Friday.